Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. In comic books, science fiction and fantasy fiction, and sci-fi and fantasy television shows and movies, there seem to be two different types of character transformation arcs. And there seems to be one character transformation arc for men and one type of character transformation arc for a woman. And in these two types of storylines, we see that there seems to be some sort of inequality in the types of stories that men and women get in comic books, science fiction, and fantasy. Now, when we see a story with a male hero, we usually see that character go on a journey where they have to go through this learning process to become the hero that they're supposed to be. And in that character transformation arc, we see this character go through loss, hardship, pain, and these are the things that pretty much define this character becoming a hero. However, whenever there's a heroine in a story, they usually don't have to go through as much hardship as the guy. In many cases, as I've seen in many old comics like Claws of the Cat or Ms. Marvel or even some Spider-Woman comics, there really isn't a mission set up for that heroine. Usually they just put on the suit and go out and start fighting bad guys. In many cases, they often wind up with a light origin tacked on, but no real character transformation arc where we see this woman going through loss, hardship, and pain like we do see the male heroes go through. Now, when you look at a story featuring a male hero, for example, like a Luke Skywalker, we saw Luke's character transformation arc over the three movies in the Star Wars trilogy. And inside of that Star Wars trilogy, we saw Luke Skywalker change from a farm boy with ambitions to be a part of the Rebel Alliance to a full Jedi Knight. And in his character transformation arc, he went through a lot of pain and a lot of loss. And the first loss he experienced was the death of his Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. Then on the Death Star, he saw his mentor Obi-Wan pretty much lose his life. Then he saw Biggs Darklighter, his friend from Tatooine, killed in the Death Star raid, and that was just in the first movie. In Empire Strikes Back, Luke went through more hardships as he was on the planet Hoth. Then he was in the Dagobah system with Yoda, and he had to get mentored with Yoda. And then he went out and confronted Darth Vader, and in that battle he lost, and he lost his hand. And he saw Han Solo in the Carbonite. So he went through a lot of pain and a lot of loss in his journey, and he had to learn hard lessons on his journey to becoming that Jedi Knight. And in that Jedi Knight quest, he went through a character transformation arc where he learned these hard lessons, he went through pain, and he grew as a character to the point where in Return of the Jedi, he was willing to fight back against the Emperor and stand up against the Emperor and stand for his beliefs, even willing to die to stand up for those beliefs. And that's what led to Anakin Skywalker pretty much turning away from the ways of the dark side to protect his son. So in that story, we saw this character go through a major character transformation arc in those three movies. We saw him grow, we saw him change, we saw him go through pain and loss. However, when we look at Rey, in contrast, in The Force Awakens, we don't see that character transformation arc. The Rey character pretty much comes across like a Mary Sue. She's capable of wielding lightsabers, something Luke took two entire movies to learn. She's learning how to use this lightsaber easily. She's taking on Sith Lords, something that Luke pretty much lost. He lost that fight to Darth Vader in The Empire Strikes Back. And then in Return of the Jedi, he beat Darth Vader, but then he realized what the dark side was doing to him. So he went through pain and in a character transformation arc, but your Rey is pretty much able to understand how to use the Force and master lightsabers, and she's able to pilot a Millennium Falcon all in one movie. No sense of a character transformation arc, no sense of character development. We didn't see any sort of growth. And I noticed this pattern when it came down to female superheroes and female fantasy characters. There's very few, instances where we see these characters go through any sort of character transformation arc. And one of the reasons I believe we don't see heroines go through character transformation arcs is that many people will say that when you start putting this woman through hardship, you're being a misogynist and you're being sexist. When in actuality, you're being fair because you're pretty much presenting this heroine on an equal footing with the men, because the man has to go through a character transformation arc in his stories with comic books, science fiction, and fantasy. And what happens in that character transformation arc is we learn who this guy is, we learn what he wants to be as a hero, and a reason for caring about them. Moreover, when these characters go through these character transformation arcs, what happens is the audience learns to relate to this guy, they learn to relate to his struggles, and then they identify with this person and their experiences, and that allows them to form a connection with that character and see what is important about their mission and how it relates to their own life. And I've seen this happen with many of the Marvel characters like Spider-Man, who learns the lesson of having that power and then being responsible, and then many other characters like Iron Man, who was pretty much a rich guy who was disconnected from people, and putting on this armor, pretty much this shell, allows him to reconnect with people and see that he has to serve the people and he has to protect the people. And these character transformation arcs take these characters from who they were into who they become. But when it comes down to heroines, many times we don't get to see these women go through these sorts of hardships and these sorts of pain and this sort of loss. But these are the experiences that help a character grow. Moreover, they are the experiences that allow us to relate to this character and identify with them. And I believe heroines would be a lot more popular if we were able to see them go through some sort of character transformation arc similar to what we see male heroes do. Now, when I write fantasy heroines like the Isis or the Esteem character, I make a concerted effort to pretty much make sure they go through a character transformation arc. And the reason why I make sure they want to go to a character transformation arc is this. I want my heroines to be on the same level as the males, and I want my female readers and my male readers to relate to their experiences and identify with their experiences and identify with them. And I want them to see the journey that they go through from the point that they started at to the point where they finish. And I can give you an example of that with the Esteem character, who pretty much in The Temptation of John Haynes started out as this she-demon who had first appeared in the first Isis novel as this bad guy who had this aspiration to become this lady and get this high position in Lucifer's Legion. And then over the course of the character transformation arc, she pretty much goes through this journey where she pretty much learns how to reconnect with her own humanity, and that makes her realize that what made her a lady was not this title that she was trying to aspire to get, but the ability to do what was right towards not making this John Haynes character make these compromises that would destroy him. And that character transformation arc, this character really went through a lot of loss where she had to sacrifice things that were dear to her, like the dress which symbolized all of her successes as a she-demon. She had to take off that demon form and then and put on a human face that she did not like, and she had to experience racism and in the world and learn about the gender dynamics between black men and black women, and she had to learn how to work with the John Haynes character in that story. And as she went along this process, she went through this character transformation arc where, again, she went from this she-demon to reconnecting with her own humanity and then turning away from the ways of the Lucifer's Legion to become John Haynes' partner. And that was a character transformation arc I established in The Temptation of John Haynes. Now, with the Isis series right now, I'm putting the character through a character transformation arc where this Isis character is starting out as returning to the world, looking to continue resuming her work, trying to help out black people. However, as she comes into this 21st century, she's learning that the world has changed, and the approaches that she used in the 20th century to help black people overcome Jim Crow and racism have to be modified, and she has to learn how to reconnect with people and learn what their needs are in the 21st century. And that's part of her character transformation arc that's going on right now. And with both characters, I made a serious effort to show how they grew from one point to the next, and I put both characters through all sorts of pain, all sorts of loss, and all sorts of hardships where they had to face all sorts of challenges and adversity. And I believe that's what makes a great character, because people relate to characters and identify with characters who go through hardships and are willing to go on that journey and continue to persevere on that quest to becoming who they are. Now, I also do this character transformation arc in other novels that I produce for different genres like young adult fiction, and two of them where I place the character transformation in are the Thetas, where this feminist character, Colleen Anderson, comes into this sorority and she has to go through these challenges to become a part of this sorority. And her reasons for wanting to be a part of the sorority is because she wants to honor the memory of her late mother. And in this process, she has to walk away from many of the ideas and beliefs she has about sororities, and she has to and go through all sorts of these challenges that the sorority women put her through. And while she's going through this process, she's learning more about the values of the sorority, and she's learning more about her own values and thinking about her own values and beliefs. And this is transforming her into the woman she will eventually become later on. And in another story I put this character transformation arc in is a novel, Spellbound, where I show how this Matilda Crowley character goes from a girl next door into a member of the goth subculture, a person who's participating in the goth subculture. And in that character transformation arc, I show her reasons for wanting to become a part of the goth subculture, and why she wants to become a part of this subculture. And I show how she transforms from this shy girl next door to a goth person in the goth subculture with their own voice, who speaks about what they want, tells people what they want, tells them who they are, and pretty much defines things to set a direction for her own life on her own terms. And that's what a character transformation arc does. It takes a character from one point in the story at the beginning to a point where they have gone through all of these changes, and they change into something else at the end. And that's what leads to a very rich story experience, a very rich reading experience, a rich film experience, or a rich television experience, because we are seeing this person go through these struggles, we're seeing this person go through this hardship, we're seeing them go through this adversity, we're seeing them persevere in the face of this adversity. And as we watch this happen, we pretty much are identifying with this person, we're connecting with this person, we're seeing our struggles and their struggles, and we're seeing this person grow. And that's what makes for a great experience. But when it comes down to heroines, in most cases, in comic books, science fiction, and fantasy, we don't get to see that character transformation arc go through. A lot of writers, again, are too afraid to take that risk and put these female characters through the same pain that the guys go through. And because they do that, they wind up cheating the audience out of a great experience, because I believe that women want to see women being strong, and what a strong woman represents isn't superhuman strength or flying in the air. It's having the strength of character to stand up for what you believe in. It's that strength of character that allows this character to go on those missions, to go on those quests, to overcome those obstacles. And that's what makes them really a hero. And that's what makes, characters like your Luke Skywalker so relatable for generations, because he was able to overcome those obstacles and even those issues inside of himself that were holding him back in life. And because he was able to stand up for what he believed in and had the resolve and the character to have that strength of character, we were able to see him as a hero that people can continue to talk about for generations. And people want to see that with female characters. They want to see that with heroines. Unfortunately, many writers and many people in the media are following the narrative of many feminists and saying that, oh, you're being sexist or you're being misogynistic in putting this female character through these hardships, when you're actually trying to show how this character is building the strength of character and resolve to be the hero that could be relatable and identifiable with generations of readers to come. You can pick up many of my titles on Amazon.com in paperback and ebook format, and you can pick them up at other online booksellers as well.